Much for joining us here on the programme. It's always a pleasure to get your insight on these matters. We now move over to the African continent, and Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan has won a landslide election victory with 97.66% of the vote, the Electoral Commission has announced today. She received over 31.9 million of the 32.6 million votes cast. That is according to the Tanzanian state media, of course. And the elections, which barred two major opposition figures, sparked violent protests across the country. According to the spokesperson of the Chadema opposition party, at least 700 people have been killed, while Amnesty International reports says at least 100 have died. Authorities have imposed curfews and deployed the army in the country. Dar es Salaam, Mwanza and Arusha have been engulfed in chaos with gunfire, tear gas and burning vehicles in the streets. The United Nations has urged security forces to avoid excessive force. The government says it is acting to maintain peace and protect property amid one of the deadliest demonstrations in recent history. This is what the Tanzanian foreign minister said on the violence.
Whatever means of force that has been used is just the level of protecting force. None of the excessive force has been used. And the country cannot use excessive force against its own citizens, for sure.
Now, finally, we turn to Europe. And in Serbia, thousands of young protesters are marching across the country to mark 1 year since a deadly train station collapse, an accident that killed 16 people and ignited the largest anti-government movement in decades. Students began their 90-kilometre march from Belgrade towards the northern city of Novi Sad, where tens of thousands are expected to rally, and of course where the accident happened. Protesters are calling for accountability, saying no one has been held responsible a year after the tragedy. The protests have evolved into a broader movement against President Alexander Vučić, with demonstrators accusing his government of corruption and authoritarianism. Authorities have charged 13 people over the collapse, including a former transport minister, but no trial date has so far been set. Let's in fact listen in to some of the protesters.
Sjajno, došao sam da se poklonim trenutno najjačoj svetskoj sili. To su naši studenti, naša omladina I osjećam se nepobjedivo.
Da smo svi postali jedno srce. Eto to, ja to tako osjećam. I večeras se osjećam veličanstveni. Dugo se čekalo, ovo vidite koje sam ja godište. Iz 53. 72.
Svi je red, ali mislim da mi objektivno nas prati na savest, jedna veoma dobra savest koje mi zapravo delujemo ovako da dovedemo konačno I pravdu I bolje sutra ovoj zemlji.
Moving on, a Turkish court has sentenced 11 people to life in prison over a hotel fire that killed 78 people at a ski resort in Turkey's Bolu Mountains in January. Among those convicted were Halit Ergil, the owner of the Grand Kartal Hotel, his wife, 2 daughters, and the hotel's general manager. The blaze had broke out overnight on January the 21st in the hotel's restaurant, rapidly engulfing the 12-story building, which was fully booked with holidaymakers. 34 children are believed to be among the dead, and more than 130 guests were injured as many jumped from windows to escape. The court also sentenced Bolu's deputy mayor and a board member of the company that owned the hotel. In total, the defendants received 34 aggravated life sentences for the children killed. The fire had prompted nationwide outrage after survivors said no fire alarms sounded and authorities were accused of failing to enforce safety standards. Well, that's all that we have time for this hour. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates.